Hi, Algebra 1B students, it's Miss Carol, and I am here to walk you through the Project 1 Lesson 1 questions. And I just want to give you a little background on this. In previous courses, the projects were not included in Algebra 1B simply because I kind of felt like they were really complex and they were keeping grades really low for a lot of students, and I didn't really think that was fair. But I do like what the projects have to offer, and I don't want to keep students from doing them. So my compromise is to do a little video that you can follow along with that will help you hopefully understand the concepts better as I'm presenting them, but that you can just get full credit for because I'm basically giving you the answers. So you still have to do the projects, but I'm giving you the answers, and it's more like a participation grade. So I really hope that you take advantage of this for all 29 lessons that there are project questions on. So let's go ahead and dive into the Lesson 1 questions. And the summary here is that the Platteville, Illinois Parks Department has an outdoor basketball court that is not in the best of shape. They are planning on doing some remodeling this year, so they need to take some measurements and perform some calculations before they can start. Use your knowledge of multiplying polynomials to answer the questions. Okay, so the first couple are really easy. Question 1, the length of the basketball court can be represented by the expression 7x. Which is the most specific word that describes the expression? So if you remember back from our lesson content, 7x is one term. And the description for one term is a monomial. Okay, mono means one. Okay, binomial is two terms. Variable is the actual the letter. Okay, it's representing different numbers. Polynomial could be two or more terms. And let's just scroll down to see what our other options are here. And then trinomial is three terms. Okay, so the only thing that actually describes 7x the most thoroughly is a monomial. I suppose you could say variable, but then that doesn't include the coefficient. So we're really describing the fact that it's a one expression term, and it's a monomial. Okay? The width of the basketball court can be represented by the expression 4x plus 2, which is the most specific word that describes this expression. Well, if you'll remember, I said that two terms is a binomial. And how do I know this is two terms? Well, terms are separated by addition and subtraction. They're not separated by multiplication or division. So if something is being multiplied or divided, that is part of the same term. But if there is an addition or subtraction symbol, the plus or minus, you know you've got more than one term. So this 4x is a term and the 2 is an integer term. Both the 4x and the 2 are monomials, but together they make a binomial. Okay, so for this one, binomial is our answer. All right, moving right along. Okay, so to resurface the basketball court, the construction crew needs to know how much space they need to cover the area of the court. As you may know, the formula for area is area equals length times width. Use this formula and the information about the length and width from the previous questions to find an expression for the area of the basketball court. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to write on here, and we had 4x plus 2 and 7x. So I'm going to multiply my length times my width, so 7x times 4x plus 2. Okay, and when I do this, hopefully you'll remember from the lesson, I have to distribute this 7x through both terms in the parentheses, okay? And so if I take 7x times 4x, I get 7 times 4 is 28, and x times x is x squared, okay? And then 7x times 2 is 14x, which is exactly what they have here, and this is how you would want to type it using that little shift 6 symbol to indicate the exponent, okay? So this is the formula for area of this basketball court, and the x can change. Basically, it's kind of representing a ratio of the length times the width, or the length and the width. So the x can change, and based on how the x changes, the area of the court will either be larger or smaller, okay? Okay, so refer to our previous answer, which was 28x squared plus 14x, right? And is this, they want to know, is this a binomial, polynomial, monomial, trinomial, or a variable? Well, there is a variable. There is a variable x, okay? But there are also two terms here, okay? This is one term, and this is another term, okay? So we know for sure it's a binomial, but I think it's important for you to know that anything that has more than one term, so if it has one or more addition or subtraction symbols, it's going to also be a polynomial. Poly means many. So we can check both the binomial and the polynomial category. It falls into both. Okay, we are moving right along. On to question 5. Okay, around the basketball court, there is a fence whose height is represented by the expression x plus 2. The Parks Department is thinking of adding a ceiling to the court at the same height as the fence and wants to know what the volume of the space will be if it is enclosed. That's kind of a funny thing to want to know. As you may know, the formula for volume is length times width times height. Use this formula, the new information, and your answer from question 3 to find an expression for the volume of an enclosed basketball court. Okay, so now we have that, we have our new height of x plus 2, and we have that old area of length times width, which we decided was 28x squared plus 14x, okay? Now I've got to multiply the x by both 28x squared and 14x and the 2 by 28x squared and 14x. So let's do that kind of in two different colors here. So that when I multiply the x through, I'm going to do it in pink, okay? Sorry about that. Didn't see those texts coming through. Okay. So I'm going to multiply the x through, and when I do that, I get, so the first one, x times 28x equals 28x cubed, and x times 14x is 14x squared. All right, now in black, I'm going to multiply the 2 by each of these terms, and I get 2 times 28x squared is 56x squared, and 2 times 14x is 28x, okay? My last step here will be to combine like terms, so I'm going to do that in blue, and I can combine the x squareds, okay? I can't combine anything with x cubed because I only have the one x cubed term, but I have two x squared terms. So I have 28x cubed plus 14 and 56 is 70x squared, and 28x. And as you can see, that is the answer that they have here. And just in case you might have been wondering, this is a trinomial, 1, 2, 3 terms. And as you can see here, since we have an x cubed, assume that our basketball court is measured in feet. If you had, if x was 5 feet, then 5 times 5 times 5 would be 125 feet cubed, which would be volume. Okay, so feet cubed is volume. So you know you're moving in the right direction if you see cubed and you're also dealing with volume. All right. And our last question here. Write a short letter to the Platteville Parks Department explaining how you determined the expressions for the area and volume of the basketball court. Give enough details so that if needed, they'll be able to perform the same calculations with different polynomial measurements. Be sure to use mathematical language and be clear and concise in your response. So this would be something like, Dear Platteville Department, and I'll let you type this in, but here are the formulas that we used. Area equals length times width, okay? And so we did 7x, and we multiplied it by, what was that? 4x plus 2, I believe. And then volume equals length times width times height. And since we already knew this was the area, we took our 28x squared plus 14x and multiplied that by x plus 2. Okay? And many texts coming through. Okay, so that should do it. And you can go into more detail here if you want. But I just want to make sure, actually what I really, really want you to write here, and I'm sorry I kind of got distracted, is I want you to write that we use the distributive property to ensure that all terms were being taken into account when, we'll say, timesing or multiplying polynomials. Okay, so if you can get a handle on that, if you can recognize that when you're multiplying polynomials, you have to use the distributive property, whether you're multiplying a monomial by a polynomial, or whether you're multiplying two polynomials, you have to multiply each term by every other term, okay? So any reasonable explanation there will get credit, and I am very much looking forward to your answers. Thank you.